people will join and in a few minutes. But how's your day been? Let's talk about you. What have you been doing today?
What's today? Working my other job, receptionist in a caravan park. It's my day.
Ah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. And
yeah. So I worked on the boats since being Corobay, like 5 years, But this year I wanted to concentrate more on photography away from the tour packages and stuff. So I just jobbed like 3 days a week in the caravan park, and then I got four
yep.
days to shoot myself on my own boat, basically.
Ah, that's so cool. So you're still doing a little kind of on the side job as well, which is I guess it's really good just to subsidize, especially at the moment. It's
Yeah,
good
well,
to have just a little bit of extra income.
Yeah, well, previously it was like you work 5, 6 days on the tours, but you don't know, you only earn what you sell, if you know what I mean. The packages are quite cheap in regards, compared to what we sort of do commercially. And then, so it's sort of, you have no time to do anything, and then you don't want to go out in your own days and shoot your own stuff and that sort of thing. So I got a bit too much, but now I just do 3 days, get paid basically the same as 5 days for that, and then I
Yeah.
to shoot and do other commercial work, and it frees up your time because if you can accept jobs, so much the last 2 years have had jobs pop up. You're just like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because you can't get the time off. But now it's like, yeah, I've got
Uh,
time, I can do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good. I'm sort
You
of,
you don't happen to be on Twitter, do you, by any chance?
no, I didn't know we even had it in Australia. I'm not very tech.
That's so cute that you said that. Yes, we do. I just tweeted last night, so I was just seeing if I could tweet again with the fact that you're on the channel, but I'll do it anyway, and I just won't tag you because you don't have one. So um,
Yeah, because
I'll do that right now.
to be honest, I only really got Instagram when I started taking photos because it was, it's like a sort of necessity these days, really. To put,
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, Jake. There's a lot of photographers that are moving away, like really in the last couple of weeks because I don't know if you've noticed this actually. This would probably be a really good conversation to have, but just the engagement, everybody's really noticed that the engagement is down on for everybody on Instagram. So a lot of people are jumping over to Twitter, and I've been on Twitter for literally like 10 years. But I've never really used it for photography, to be honest.
yeah,
I've used it more of like, I don't know, like I follow a lot of like politics, and it's like my outlet for more like political opinions. But now I'm trying to slowly change that and like use it more to show more of, I mean, I've always shown some of my work, but use it more like I do with Instagram, I guess.
so you can post photos and stuff. Eh?
Yeah, and it's really high quality photos as well. It's one thing that photographers really notice is the quality of the imagery is it's not as compressed as it is on Instagram. So, and there's a really huge community. I think like you particularly, like your style of photography goes really well on somewhere like Twitter. I notice like the astro community, landscape photography, like that stuff I see do really well. And like I've kind of only been delving into it the last kind of couple of weeks. Like there's a big music photography community as well, but like I really have noticed like the astro nature photography kind of people. And I just think if you started posting your work, I think it would just go bananas, to be honest.
Make a note. Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I've always been like very anti-technology in that regards because there's nothing worse. Like you go sit somewhere and very strong on it. You're having a conversation with somewhere, people on their phones and stuff. I can't stand it.
Yeah, yeah, and photographers, we can be the worst at that as well because it's like it becomes part of your job, I guess. But it's like also, yeah, I don't know. You can kind of trick yourself into being kind of antisocial sometimes because it is kind of part of our job. I don't know. Like I've tried to. I've kind of pulled away from, especially Instagram in recent times, but it it's just this kind of weird double-edged sword. I think sometimes like it just you need to use it to get out there, but it can, I don't know, it can really be detrimental for your mental health sometimes. And I don't know, how do you find it? Do you have like a love-hate relationship with it?
Yeah, well, I hate it. Like I
You
don't.
hate it?
Yeah, I don't scroll at all. Pretty much.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I'll just set aside, say, I might do every couple of days. I'll set aside and get a few posts ready and have everything ready to roll. So it's only going to take me a second. Then I'll always reply to people as well. But I set aside that time when I'm sitting in the office and I've got an hour or something. I'll do it like that. But I never do it when I'm out. But it's sort of one of those.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Engagement stuff. You see, it fluctuates a lot because my partner Elle, like obviously she has she free dives and stuff a lot. So she uses a lot of photos, and it sort of goes up and down. But I've never really chased it that much. It's more my goal when I first started doing like Instagram stuff. Because I mean, it's impossible to grow it. You know what I mean? It's like at that point.
Yeah, That's. I mean, my Instagram in the last year, I've just dropped so many followers because a lot of my followers were fans of a young artist that I work with, and I picked up while we were touring, and we were doing so much touring pre-COVID. I probably dropped like 3,000 followers in the last year, which is like, you know, when you've been working, you're building up an audience for so long, and then you all of a sudden it just starts dropping and dropping and dropping and then it'll go up for a bit, and then it's soul destroying. Like, it really is. Like, you try not to let it affect you.
I think that's the key, because honestly, like, I've never thought of it like, I mean, it's inevitable. It's gonna disappear. It's gonna be on MySpace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's why I think I am. Hey, Glow, nice to see you here as well. What up, Gypsy J and Ash? Thanks for joining us today. Yes, his photos are just mind-blowing, and we're going to get into his story in a sec as well. I think that's why I'm kind of liking just playing around with Twitter as well, because, you know, I've been on that platform for so long. It's a whole different community than Instagram, so it's just like, this is cool. Like, there's different people over here, and, you know, I've got a decent following over there, even though they've kind of usually following me for different reasons. But yeah, it's just kind of playing around with it. Like you said, it's all not going to be here at one point. So
yeah, that's what I thought when I started doing it, because I only, like, was it 2.5 years ago, really got Instagram. So I mean, I've probably been like, lived in such a destination area, you know, so it's like a lot of people come from those places. So that's probably helped a lot, and it's still growing. Like, my page is still growing, but sort of like, I don't think like, I want followers, I want engagements. More you put your work out there, it's more aim. So your work's there to sell prints or more to get brand. My aim was sort of like, when I first started, I was like, I just want to get like, say, 10,000, so it looks professional. So when I approach for work or that, then you can talk to them a lot more. And I think it helped with me because I got like the verify the blue tick thingy. Like a couple of years ago after things, because I had heaps of articles and stuff on me after like the big manta ray rescue thing. I think that sort of helped, because then people, like, they see your work and they go there, and then you have that, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know, it's legit. If you know.
It makes such. I just got my blue tick recently, and I just can't believe how much of a difference it makes. Just even with communication with, you know, either higher profile people or brands. Like, they do actually see you as a legitimate artist versus just some random, and it really does make a difference. So yeah, I totally understand. What up, Vicky? Nice to see you in the chat. Matt Hickey, who just became a father a couple of weeks ago. So lovely to see you here. Hope the baby's all going well. Thanks for joining us today. LB Visual, thank you for joining the chat as well. Nice to see you here today. We've got a few more people joining now, which is really great. This is a really unusual time for me to stream. So we'll probably, usually I stream at noon. This is a lot later. So it's cool there's some people here. This is really great. Guys, this is Jake Wilton. He is an underwater photographer and fellow Zed creator and just all-round legend. And we met recently because I was hosting a Nikon. It was like it wasn't a school. It was
I don't know. Webinar.
I don't know what you call it. Webinar. Yeah, it's like a webinar. Yeah. So I was hosting, and it was really fun. It was yourself and I've just gone blank.
Charles Davis.
Oh, Charles, yes, Charles Davis as well, who's an amazing nature photographer, and it was awesome. It was like just three mates hanging out, having a chat about photography. So just thought be a great opportunity to introduce my community to you and your work. It's like really different to a lot of the stuff that we've looked at. So what up, Mafia? What up, Benny? Nice to see you guys here as well. So I think let's start at the beginning, because your stories, like you said, you only really started kind of shooting 2.5 years ago, which is like absolutely crazy. So let's start from the start and tell people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I started shooting 2.5 years ago, but I'd been working on like dive boats and in this industry for like 10, 11 years now, like since I think I've done my open water like 2007. And then I like left home, went to like Queensland, a classic thing because I'm from New South Wales. And then I was like, I had this opportunity. My family friends owned a dive shop back home in North Coast, New South Wales. And I had an opportunity. I was like, I got to take it. And I was like 19 or something. So that's when I first got into it. Because when we first started working at the dive shop, I'd done my courses and dive master and stuff. We used to take like little point and shoot cameras. That was for the guests. So we'd do like photos for the guests. So it wasn't nothing special. I actually used to hate taking the camera, because I just love enjoying the moment.
Yeah. I remember you saying that you were kind of anti photography in the setting as well, because you were kind of like, I just want to enjoy the moment and also not interfere at that moment.
Well, I seen, because as a guide, I was where I grew up, so I was a local guide, and I've done thousands of dives over the years there. And then, so I was always the one that'd take people diving, so if they were a professional photographer or, serious photographer or anyone, I'll take them. And then just over time, it sort of got me a bit, because it's like your home, that's where you go all the time, and it can, obviously get a bit protective, and you'd see people push the shots and disturb the animals and stuff like that. And I sort of maybe anti-photographer for a while, to be honest. But then obviously over time, but just to be honest, in hindsight, it's probably made it better, because that's not what I want to be. So it probably makes you a better photographer in the end, because you don't push those limits, because you know what effect it has, and then you actually get better photos.
Yes.
It might take
I love that. It's like you've seen what you don't want to be in a photographer, so then you're kind of more mindful of the environment and stuff.
So yeah, in a way, like those sort of 8 years or so doing that, and then working with big animals and in like destinations like Ningaloo and then New South Wales at Fish Rock, and then going traveling and stuff like that, you sort of develop the skills subconsciously almost, And I worked in Ningaloo the first few years. A few of my really good mates, who's actually a Z creator, so Alex Kidd, he's a good underwater photographer, a really, really good underwater photographer. Like there's Tom Cannon, Sam Lawrence. We're all like really good mates. We came here at the same time, and I was like the tour guides on the boat, or the swimmer, and they were photographers. So I got to see the day-to-day stuff, and they're always with them and taking photos and stuff. So I sort of learned like that without actually taking photos. And then once I finally got the opportunity, I was actually thinking about leaving town actually, and then a job opportunity come up, and I just bought a camera. I got talked into it. Alex talked me into like 6 months. I finally bought a camera, D500, and it was a huge investment. I think like $3,000 or something. The camera and the like Aquatech housing. And I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? I got no idea. And then after I bought it, like a month later, the job came up, and I was already working on the tour as a guide. And my boss gave me the opportunity. He's like, oh, if you want to stay, then I'll give you the job. And that's sort of how it eventuated. And then it was just like snowball from there. And when I do something, I get pretty obsessed. I don't want to do it half.
Yeah. Yes. Well, obviously, if you've had this come up in a couple of years, then it's pretty evident. You've gone all in. It's like.
Well, I struggled at first. It's like you sort of question yourself, like, oh, am I actually a photographer? And people used to ask me, oh, so you're a professional photographer? And he used to say to people on the boat, like, oh, no, like, a long time to get that confidence to be like, oh, no, I am a photographer,
Yeah. Do you remember that moment? Was there like a little bit of a turning point where you were like, oh, I feel like I can call myself a photographer now?
I think after probably the first year, like we sort of, so I did the first season. It's very seasonal on Ningaloo. So we left, I think, like November and went traveling. Went to like Raja Ampat and Komodo and stuff in New Zealand, done this trip. Then when I came back, it was a bit more legitimate, I'd sold a few images like commercially and stuff, and then made some like finals in competitions and stuff like that. And then you more colleagues and you sort of get more confident. And then I wouldn't pinpoint a day, but it was more probably the second year I got a bit more legitimate, And at first I really struggled with like exposure, exposure triangle, like most people do. But YouTube, honestly, like had to nail YouTube so much. And then I think a month into my photo job, I was like, all right, dream job, here it is. A month in, I got a coral spawn infection in my foot, and it was like super antibiotic resistant. So I had to go, like I was in hospital for like a week, and then they were going to evac me down to Perth, and I was going to lose my foot and stuff. And I was like,
oh my god,
I was off for like a month or just under a month, and all I did was just YouTube, like tutorials and stuff, photo tutorials, and that helped me.
Right, so you use that downtime to kind of really skill up, I guess.
Same with like
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
And I was just like, building my website, shooting, doing that sort of thing. But yeah, that's
awesome.
Into it, and then yeah, sort of after that sort of first season, because I had the crop sensor camera, I was like happy with the images, but I wanted that sort of next step, and I was like, if I'm going to give this a crack, then I'll just I have to go all for it. So that's when I got my D810, which is a full frame, and just went for it. Because I sort of thought the opportunity's there, never get a better opportunity in the location and opportunity, that sort of stuff. So I just went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's just you are like you obviously it's such a amazing opportunity for your job and your hobby, I guess, to combine and become kind of one thing, and then what up 80, what up Aussie Obsessions, and Watto, nice to see you guys here. We have Jake here today. We're having a look at some of his really amazing underwater photography. It actually just blows me away because I've never done anything like this. And it was really great when we got to do the webinar just to have a look at your work, and just this is like a completely different world to me. So I'm just like, it always just blows me away, and like it's been great since then following you and seeing a lot of your work pop up on Instagram. But when you said before that you had sold some of your images commercially, do these who are those people, I guess, and like what are the types of companies that are buying these images, and are they just finding you through Instagram?
Yeah, generally I think mainly like tourism brands. So Tourism WA was like the first sort of one, then a whale shark company for flyers and like online magazines and articles and stuff. And generally I think probably mostly through Instagram. And then if people obviously, if you're at that sort of top of Instagram, they search Ningaloo, and then you're like the first one to pop up, obviously that's going to help a lot. And then I was always strong. I just touched on back on before, like with this work, I was so strong. Like I'm just going to be myself, like obviously advice. I take advice from everybody and learn different skills and different techniques and follow different people's work. But I was like, I want the image to look how it looks. Even if someone says, oh, I know you should do it like this, I want to I think this looks better. And I was always so strong
cool.
self creatively, because in the end, like, you're doing what you love and then you enjoy it. But if you're trying to be someone else, you're going to get caught out somewhere down the line. So I thought I'll just do it how I want to do it, be myself. And if it works, then it works. If it doesn't, then I'll find something else to do, I guess. And that's sort of...
So I guess having your own sense of style and what you wanted a photo to look like, rather than looking at all the other guys, what they're doing and trying to copy.
Yeah, but I use like different techniques. But in terms of style, like, people always ask me, do you have a style? I don't even know if I have a style, to be honest. I don't think of it anyway like that. I don't want my images to look a certain way. It's more, I want it to represent what I seen at the time, if that makes sense. I mean,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, in certain regards, because I'm shooting similar stuff. But it's, yeah, I never thought like I'm going to go edit this. I want it to look like moody or this and that, like to represent all the work. That's why I like my Instagram grids like all over the place most of the time,
Yeah.
I have to go through them.
It's interesting. I think there's still a consistency that just in tones, contrast, the whites, like there's a consistency in your style, I think, that you can see when you're having a look at your grid. I feel like your grid's a lot more consistent than mine, that's for sure. It's really gorgeous.
Everything's so shallow and shooting predominantly natural light. So it's always in the same areas, so you're shooting the similar things. It's just different animals, but in the same area. So it's going to turn out pretty similar. But it's when you go to that's when you can really push it. Like when we went to Raja Ampat a couple of years before, pre-COVID, it was my partner Elle and Alex and another mate, and we just went like freedive this place because no one's ever been there, like done freedive photography. It's all scuba. It's in like West Papua, Raja Ampat, and we just went there just like, let's just go freedive and do this stuff. And it was very like
we're actually looking at one of those shots at the moment. It's up on your Instagram, so for people there'll be context.
It's a lot I suppose like darker. I don't know, the water was a deeper blue, if you know what I mean. So it really pushed your style and different things like there. Like it's like the split shot capital, I reckon. It was just glass off the overs. So I shot a lot like that. Yeah, so I think it depends on where you're shooting, hey, like you go a different area, obviously you're going to shoot it a lot different. You have your layer on it, but I don't think too much about that sort of side of things. I don't want my photos to look a certain way. I just want them to represent what I've seen at the moment.
What you see. Yeah. Gypsy J just asked, are you primarily free diving or scuba diving when you're shooting?
Mainly free diving here in Ningaloo. But I'll still scuba. I grew up scuba diving, but I haven't really done much photography on scuba. But that's not because I don't like it. It's more because here it's so shallow. Most of the spots you're doing is like 8 to 12 meters, and like you get 20s and stuff like that. But it's easier because the animals are moving around in the area, so you just putt along the boat and you can see them because it's so clear, so you can slide in with them and hit them. Whereas diving is more, you go to a certain area because like say a manta ray is going to be at this cleaning station on this full moon, you go sit there and let it come over. Whereas here it's all so shallow, you don't need a scuba. And I'm not I don't care either. Whatever's easier, honestly. I hate having too much gear.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I would imagine as well. I've been scuba diving only a handful of times, but it's so cumbersome, and I guess also when there's lots to think about as well. I guess you've been doing it for a long time, so you're probably thinking about it less, but and then to bring in a camera and oh my god, it takes some photos as well. It's like a whole other stress.
Hopefully this summer I can get back to New South Wales, fingers crossed, and I want to do a lot of diving back home because I've never dived my home spot as a photographer, but I've barely dived. I've from 2010 to probably 2017, 18, I was doing maybe 400 or 500 dives a year, and now
wow,
free diving, so I'm doing maybe 3 or 4 a year. So the skill's still there, but I'll probably do 3-4 days of diving before I even take the camera down, just to get that skill.
Right.
It's a huge thing, I think. I used to see that so much with people, they would do their dive course or whatever, and they'd sort of, be competent, but not that skilled, it's like anything. They go straight into photography and then they just sort of forget how to dive. Does that make sense? So
yeah. Well, because I've done a scuba diving course, so I feel like this resonates with me a lot. I've got got your 18 meter or whatever, but I just can't even imagine trying to bring in another element. It would take ages.
Yeah, ages. It's just like riding a bike, And it's a bit like, first get a camera. I know everything's so fresh for me, but you get a camera, you got all these buttons, and you're like, what the hell is this? You don't know what you're doing. You go to shoot something, you got on the wrong settings, and it's so hectic and cumbersome, even the camera. But now it's just your fingers work by themselves, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it becomes like muscle memory.
Yeah, it's the same. The same.
Yeah, a couple of great questions. Glow has asked, have you ever had a memory card fill up or battery die on a shoot? I'd imagine trying to change a memory card or a battery mid shoot would be an absolute nightmare.
Oh man, so many times I've had cards fail, or you got the little lock on the SD card, because I just use SD card.
Yep.
So after every snorkel on the tours, we do it structured, so snorkel cruise, snorkel doing things. I'd be going and be like, oh, there's a tiger shark here, so if you run down and get ready, you get on the back, literally soaking wet, camera's wet, and then the little slidey thing's locked and it won't let you, and you're like, shit, you're like, hang on, you go sprint, and then just dripping wet, pull the back off, get lower, and it's chaotic. But yeah, I've done that a few times. Not so much batteries, I'm quite onto that. But every time I shoot now, I have extra memory cards in my bag all the time, and I'll format before every shoot. So I'll go for a snorkel, shoot it all, come back, dump it all on a hard drive. So format that, ready to go. And these days I set the camera up basically the night before, so it's ready to rock. Because it's but yeah, many times. And the amount of times I haven't clicked the lens in, I've done it 3 times. The lens wasn't clicked. That 1 millimeter just didn't click, and so you don't get the autofocus or the manual, and you can't change it because it's in housing. I've missed some.
Oh yes. Oh my god. I'm thinking of the anxiety of being underwater, and then you realise that it's not clicked in, and you're like, oh god, I'm missing this shot. It's a nightmare.
But it happened even 2 days ago. I take my drone out in the boat all the time, and never use it because it's never good condition. Spot stuff, just in case. The one day I did take it, literally the one day, get out there and there's a sick whale. It's probably a year. It's cruising around the shallowest, clearest water, really sick. And there's just imagine here's the whale, and there's a triangle, the scene it from the plane photos when they had it deeper, of I'm talking 300-400 sharks following this thing.
Oh my god.
No one, where I had it, because everyone was gone, I had it in the shallowest, clearest, calmest water. It would have been wildlife photography of the year sort of stuff. And it's I had my drone, and then I can't leave to go get a round trip. I'm gonna miss the moment anyway. But yeah, classic. But yeah, stuff like that.
Oh,
It's got to like,
yeah.
yeah.
Just gotta
I'm,
go, just
I
roll
can,
with it.
and I can just go out the next day and where I live, it's easier. But for other people, I imagine you stew on it for like a month, I suppose, if you can't get back out there. It's a killer.
Yeah. 80 asked as well, have you ever had an underwater housing fail mid-shoot?
Not yet, but my mates, one of my mates has had it 3 times, and
Oh God,
it's
the
so,
stress.
yeah, yeah. I'm so tedious, like I check everything, lube, O-rings, and like I got one of those little blowers. I don't know if it's around here, like a bulletproof thing.
Oh yeah, the little
Yeah, and
yep.
I'm so over the top. I'll like literally go around the whole thing and blow it all off, and then go with my finger any little specks, then go around like 4 times, and then sometimes I put it on and be like, shit, I can't remember, and I'll pull it off and check, but just be like so OCD about it, but not
I
yet.
love that though. That's a good way to be.
I mean, I have
If
insurance
yeah.
as well, but it has to be the fault. Something with the insurance, it has to be like, I don't know how it works, but yeah, because they're an underwater case, if they
Yeah.
fail, you're not covered because it's meant to be an underwater case or something. So,
Oh God. Yeah, there'd be some like loophole.
yeah, like people can.
Oh, your audio just cut out there for a sec.
Are you there?
Oh yeah, we're back. We're back. Sorry, just repeat that last sentence. We just missed you.
Yeah, I just like to be. It hasn't happened yet, but I mean, they just say it's inevitable. Really, it's going to happen. But
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a little bit like live music photographers. At some point, we usually, drop our cameras, or there's always some or trip over, and there's always something that happens. It's part of our job. It's just one of those hazards.
Yeah, I think like scratching the dome ports, that's the main thing.
Yeah,
It's common.
yeah,
I've had a few times, just the slightest bump. You don't realize, you go like lay on the sand and there's like one little tic tac piece of like coral sticking out of the sand, like a bit of dead stuff, and you don't realize you sit it really softly for a turtle shot, and it's just like the current moves, it just touches it, and then there's like
oh,
a big scratch. You're just like, how did that even happen?
oh no. Matt Hickey asked a great question before, which I was just going to wait to ask. But what do you think is your scariest or like most dangerous moment that you've been in? Has there been a moment where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to get eaten here, or are you pretty confident with kind of?
I've had some scary ones diving with like currents and stuff like that, but photography wise, I've shit myself a few times with tiger sharks. I'm pretty good these days, One big girl in particular, I don't know if you've seen my photos, like on Instagram, Alberta. I think we had a shot of her.
Yes, I remember Alberta. I'll see if I can find a photo of her so we can show. Oh, here she is. I think this is her.
And it's
this is a 4-meter tiger shark.
Yeah, is it like real quick? Like the recent one? Yeah, that's her. But there's like a shot of her coming up, and it's like when I first. So I've been diving with sharks since I was a kid, and many different species, and I've never seen tiger sharks till I got here. And then first day, I can still remember it. Like first day I got in with one, I was like adrenaline through the roof. You're like, nah, it's gonna be sweet. But in your head, it's like it's a bloody tiger shark, so it's quite intimidating.
Yeah,
sort of after a while, it happens to a lot of people here. People get complacent, I guess.
Right. Yes. That's another one.
And I'm not anymore. Like I'm very strong. Like obviously they're a dangerous animal. Like I love them, and I think it's ridiculous people are scared of them. But there is that risk.
Yeah.
Predator. But I've had a couple of times where you're swimming along and they've come up to you, and when you've got like a 4-meter tiger shark with a head, it's mouse like you can fit in its whole mouth,
Yeah.
Like, they come up to you and you're one-on-one. You look up, like the boat's there, but then there's nothing they can do. But they're coming up slowly and stuff. But you have to be able to diffuse that situation. If you panic and swim away, which I've done before, then like they sort of half chase you. But more stuff. But yeah, I've had a couple, like 3 times with tiger sharks. Probably a few with bait balls. Like you get in the bait, you've seen documentaries. Like
let me show a photo of what that is, because I didn't know what that was before we had our webinar thing. I'll just see if I can find a photo on your Instagram. of a bait ball, because that shit is wild. Oh, there's the one, that's a different one. There's that one that you showed that was like, oh, here we go. This one here. I didn't know what this was when you were talking about it. So this is the one with the whale shark underneath the bait ball. So the bait ball's kind of on top of that shot.
That's like
which is just phenomenal.
It's wild, eh? So we get it, a lot of places around the world don't really see it that much anymore because of commercial fishing. Wiped out so much. But like in England, there's not really any commercial fishing, so we get these migrations of bait fish. But then, sometimes like that you get a whale shark on it. Other times there could be like 400 other sharks, like bronze whalers and spinner sharks, all these different types of whaler sharks. And that's intimidating. Like when you got like these got like they're flying at you 100 miles an hour and you got like put your fin out of your hand, like bang, bang, palming them off, trying to take photos and stuff. It's hectic. Yeah, but
there was a photo, I don't know if it's if you've got it on your Instagram, but there was a photo that was of, I think, your partner on the other side of the bait ball as well, which was
that's
really wild.
That one, yeah, like with the whale shark.
Yeah, with the whale shark. It was like a similar one that I just showed, but there's a few ones with the bait fish. There's one where it's kind of all around her, which is really cool as well. So it's just so phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the only thing, like sharks. I mean, I dive with sharks all the time. I'm confident, and I'm confident.
Yeah.
With those bait balls and stuff, you never get in by yourself. Like there'll be a couple of people that I trust, like Alex or my partner or something, that is going to handle the situation. If a shark comes up, they can like redirect it or stuff. I'm not going to panic. They're used to it, I guess, But it's it's high octane, I guess, in a way. But
well,
I mean, it's
there's so much I was just gonna say there's so much just that goes into like the skill of diving and free diving and all that, the breathing and all that sort of stuff as well. So, and then you're throwing in a whole other element of
that's
taking these amazing photos.
Oh man, well that's why underwater photography I think is so challenging, is the skill level we have to get to in regards to diving and free diving, which I was fortunate enough to develop before I was a photographer. So my transition was a lot easier. I just had to learn how to take a photo, you know what I mean? Which is a lot easier to do than learning to dive because it's a whole nother sport,
Yeah, and also just your learning curve is obviously you've just learned so quickly in the last couple of years. You picked it up really quickly.
Yeah, well, I think it's like I still research a lot, like even so I've just got like strobes now, the external light.
I was going to ask about those, yeah.
And it's like learning how to take photos again. I struggle a lot, I'm getting like one shot out of 1,000, it's crazy. But it's just force yourself. So every time I sort of get to a point where like, I'm comfortable, I just got to force myself to learn a different skill, different type of photography. And that's sort of what I'm trying to do now. I really want to perfect the lighting with strobes now, so when I go home, because it's a lot deeper dive, you're 20, 30 meters and you got like a cave and stuff, so you want to be able to nail the shots when you go back, not go back and learn and cook it and you go, oh no, I have to go back again. It's like practice now while you got the time. So I'm a bit like that. I mean, it takes dedication, I guess, in a way, but motivation can sort of get you. But we live in a place, it takes me 2 minutes to get into the water here, so it's a lot easier than most people.
And I think too, if you're seeing success, then it's easier to stay motivated than if you're, there's probably people that might have been doing that for a long time that is just not seeing that success, so it can be trickier to kind of keep upskilling and learning and wanting to continue, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the journey, I suppose, like, I mean, I've had little lows, I suppose. I've been fortunate with the way it sort of happened. It's very exponential rise, I guess, but it's more, there's been a lot of work and a lot of like self-doubt, especially at the beginning, there's a lot of self-doubt. But I think once you we have a lot of photographers here. It's probably the best way to put it. We have maybe it's like 14 photographers in Colorado, so it's about 150 people that live here, and heaps of my best mates are all photographers, and they're really good, and they're getting the same opportunity. If you're on a boat, there's another boat over there and they're getting something. Someone's coming back with something epic. So it's like there's a big competition. Even though everyone's friends, it's like you got to push it. So then when you swim with something, it's like you get forced to look at it in a different way. So you're like, oh, no, I'm going to get a photo of, say, this shark, and this person's going to get a photo, this person's going to get a photo. So like, what photo can I get that's going to be the best. So when everyone comes back, like, oh yeah, look at this mad shot. They've all got the same photo, and then they see yours.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I totally resonate with that. I feel like anyone who's a live music photographer would totally resonate with that when we're all shooting the same show and we're all seeing the same thing, but we've got to try and get either a different angle or, you've got to see it in the way that you see the show. And, next day people are posting photos. And I love that healthy competition though. Like, I really think when you see like photography at such a high level, it really, I mean, for me anyway, it's always really pushed me to be a better photographer. And if you have that many great photographers around you, there's no way you can slack off, because like, what's the point? Like, you have to kind of rise to the challenge.
You've got to embrace it, hey, I think. But we have a very healthy competition, like Alex Kidd and I, we're like really good mates, and we shoot the same things. It's quite often we're shooting the same stuff all the time, and it's like, so we're both forcing each other to do stuff, but we're both such good mates. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to go to this place without you or something because you want to get the photo. It's very like, let's go together and see what we can create. It sort of happened like 2 days. Yesterday, I think I put up I don't know if you've seen the drone photo of the manta ray on the beach. Like I put it as an aerial shot. And I like had this video, like a mad reel of like a manta and there's people on the beach swimming around. It's like, and then I put it up, and then as I put it up, it like loaded, and I was like, hang on, that's not my video. And he just put up one the same, and I was like, oh shit. So I just like took it down, and put up photos instead. It's not like, oh, I'm going to put up and compete. I'll just like use it another time, But that's just because we were there at the same time, hanging out.
The same time. Yeah, I love that. What up, Butter? Thank you so much for the raid. He's just raided with a party of 13. Thanks for joining us. We've got Jake Wilton today. He is an amazing underwater photographer and fellow Z creator. Thank you so much for the host as well, Soy. Super appreciate it. We're just checking out his amazing work and checking out just hearing about his story, which it's actually wild, because I can't believe that you just really started doing this 2.5 years ago. Like, you definitely look like a photographer that's been doing this for so much longer, like just in terms of I think personally, like your composition and just the way that you see things in terms of light you've obviously got the eye. Do you know what I mean? Like, there must have been whether you knew it or not, there's a natural ability there. I
think it may be,
which is hard to teach.
Yeah, I think maybe just from the time in the water, like because natural light, like you're really relying on the natural light underwater. Well, I have been shot natural light, and then back in the day when I used to dive at Fish Rock and had little point and shoot cameras, obviously you have a tiny little flash. So if there's something far away, you couldn't use a flash because you get all the particles and stuff on the water. So I had really for the customers that would come out, my boss was always strong, if you get these shots, and so they'd have really cool images to go show their family and stuff. I'd really like try and get those angles, I suppose, but I've never really thought about it too much. I never thought I did too much back then, but looking back now, you sort of think, I really try to get those angles to show the photo in the best way. And I think that's sort of just into now, and then it's still like a huge learning curve. I like to take the same image of the same animal like 100 times, and then one day you just get the right light, the right angle where the animal's sitting right. But I never forced it. That's probably the biggest thing, is like never forcing it, because the amount of times you get like the perfect turtle or something, but it's swimming the wrong way, and you're like, and it's like such a hassle, and you're just like, you can't do it, you know what I mean? Or the turtle, or the light's perfect, but the turtle's so scared of you, it's like not even worth doing. But I think like that sort of stuff, like skill wise, I was just very fortunate diving for that amount of time. Maybe it's just the positions like myself into enjoy watching the animals and stuff like that with the best light, because even I used to go like with sharks on that, I'd go sit in the perfect spot so you could like, the light would light up like the shark's faces, like swing around you and stuff like that. So maybe it's just over time, it's just subconsciously sort of developed, I guess.
Yeah, I reckon absolutely that's the thing. And I think just too, like you just said, like the respect for the animals, and if you've missed the moment, like you're not chasing stuff, it's just like, it didn't happen, and you're not going to force it, it's going to happen next time or whatever. So I mean, I think that's really beautiful as well. It definitely comes out in your work. It's not, you can see that it's not forced, it's really organic and happen in the moment.
Well, to put in some context, the photos, a lot of these animals, I'm shooting on a fisheye lens, so I don't know if anyone's used fisheye before, but you got to be like really close, you know what I mean? So like tiger shark shots, it looks like it's far away, and I'm like literally like,
you're like right,
and if everyone's been snorkeling that before, like it's so hard to get close to an animal underwater. and you have to be so delicate in the situation and watch their behavioural signs and stuff, and sort of pick the right animal at the right moment. And quite often it'd be like, I'll have to go ahead of it, swim down, like lay on the bottom, say for the menstruate. You're like laying 10, 12 meters and just on a single breath. And you have to wait for the manta ray to come, and then you get shot, So it's like letting the animal come to you, that sort of thing.
But yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
You can see that.
Yeah, like you make mistakes and you accidentally scare stuff, and some animals react differently to others, and you spook things without even trying, and that sort of thing. But if you just keep that same consistent goal, eventually you'll get the opportunity, I think.
That's so good. Jay's just asked a question. Do you use coloured filters, colour correct in Lightroom, or are you just shallow enough that you don't need much correction?
No, all in Lightroom. So because of natural light, it's almost impossible to set your white balance, because when you're free diving, you don't need depth. So every sort of meter, it's going to change. Different light angles, the height of the sun, the water, visibility, if it's like green view or blue view, that sort of stuff. It's very difficult. I think if you're scuba diving, it's a lot easier because you can just quickly set it. You've got your strobes and you can basically nail it. And you can just tweak it in post. But with free diving, it's just, you can never be able to do it. So you have to do it in post-production. So I have it preset at about like a 5 meter. It's 5 meters. And I took a photo of Slate, just a manual preset to get it sort of close, just so you've got more leeway when you're editing. But yeah, all in post pretty much. It's the only way to really do it.
And when you say you're using strobes, for someone dumb like me that's not doing this type of photography, are the strobes are out somewhere out on the... Where are the strobes?
Depends on what photography. I'm quite sure in that regard. But yeah, so if it's like you're shooting a real wide scene, like a shipwreck, obviously they're real wide. Or you bring it in close if they're closer to you, or if they're on the sand, you got to have them up high, shooting down. Like it's like, I suppose, like doing a studio shoot, or like a, if you've done an album cover or something, like you have to really position.
Yeah.
Right up in
I use strobes all the time. It's just blowing my mind that you're using it, so that obviously powerful enough that it's piercing the water to get the light.
Yeah. So you get like particle. I'll bring one over.
Yeah. Bring one over. This is awesome. And what up, Britt? Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So this is like the new one. So that's it there.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, you have it at 1,000 basically. So it depends on where you put it.
Right.
So
and you take that underwater with you. That's the bit that was confusing me. That's going underwater.
To the actual arms, like you hang on to, so you're hanging on.
Does that startle the fuck out of the animals? Are they like, whoa, what is...
Well, yeah, I used to hate strobes, But if the right different animals, it does. I think, to be honest, over time, bubbles scare the animals more, honestly. Like, you got this quick little... I mean, if you're going overboard, obviously, just wait for that crucial moment. Usually do, maybe when they're a bit further away, just give them like one so they know what they're prepared, I guess. You're not going to startle them. But I haven't done too much. It'd be interesting to see, but yeah, if you do the wrong thing. But most of the time, with divers and stuff, you've got the strobes, they're breathing out bubbles and then they're swimming straight at it, like, oh, there's a manta ray, they'll just swim as fast as they can at the animal. You just, if you're the animal,
that's going to scare them.
Yeah. Get the hell out of them. Then you got this big flash going off as well, but
the idea of doing like a studio style shot underwater is like just blowing my mind. Like just it's like a portrait, like a little underwater shark portrait.
Yeah. Well, I think like scuba diving, it's a lot easier because you're breathing, you can control.
Yeah.
Free diving, it's hard. You got to basically prep everything and position it on the surface. Free dive down, hope you don't knock it and get it right on a single breath.
Yeah.
Stuff, like,
I'm just in awe of people that can do free diving. It's like, it is, obviously a skill that you work up to. My husband's a diver. He grew up, his father had an abalone farm, so they grew up diving. And so he's told me so many stories. They were scuba diving, often just diving with where he just had a hose, like,
and
he's just under for hours and stuff. And he's told me this story once about how his dad accidentally stood on the hose while he was like 30 meters down or something, and he like ran out of air, and he was like, I think he was like 16 or something. It's like the most horrific story ever. But he likes doing free diving now. If we ever go snorkeling or whatever, he just loves it. He doesn't go that far, but he's just like such a water baby. So yeah, he you can really tell, like, there's such a familiarity with people that just grow up like that. You can just see it. It's like, I wish I was like that. I didn't grow up, I didn't grow up like that. So it's really awesome.
Well, that's the thing. Like with diving, it takes a lot to master diving, but then you have to also master your comfort levels with the ocean. Which I grew up at the beach on the coast, so I was so comfortable with water. When you go diving, if you're nervous about the water, then you have to master that before you can even think about mastering your diving skill. But it's
I mean, I grew up with like swimming a lot, but the ocean is so different. And scuba diving, I think too, with scuba diving, the thing that always threw me is hearing yourself breathe.
Yeah.
And then just like, that's a whole thing. And then just like, I don't know, just getting really comfortable. I still get really anxious when I try to do it. Gypsy J, I did read you said that before. You did a lot of scuba diving as well. He said he sucks at free diving, but he did a lot of scuba dives back in the day. I think he had a problem with his ear and he had to stop, but
I was bad.
That's something he did lots of.
I was bad at both at first. Everyone's got to start somewhere. You think back, like if I could look and see how I was when I first started diving, I was probably the worst. I was like probably nervous, chasing stuff. It's just over time you just develop those skills. And when I first moved to Ningaloo, I was a terrible free diver, like so bad. Doing it every day, and you get better and better, and then comfortable with it. I can't believe you get.
I think your audio just cut out as well. I think there's something with when the train goes past, your audio's cutting out. So just repeat that last sentence for us again.
So with free diving, I was so bad at first, then you sort of do it. And I used to think, like, there's a manta, I used to have to get the identification shots of the belly of the mantas. And see one like 10 meters, and I'd be like, oh shit, and it's like psychological. You're working yourself up for it, and you're swimming, and then you go down and get it. And then the second year, in between the first and second year, I went to Indonesia. I'd done a freediving course. My partner had done like her level 2, and I'd done my level 1. And just from that, like that weekend course, I came back and I was like 10 meters easy. You know what I mean? It's such a mental.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to work on it. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, I got to do it.
Yeah.
Forget about
We're having a look at the photo at the moment where your partner was surrounded by the jellyfish at Raja Ampat. Can you tell us about that story? Because it's because you went specifically out to shoot this, didn't you? Or so something happened. I remember you telling me the story.
Yeah. Well, we're in Raja Ampat, which is for those who don't know, it's like really remote. It's in the Coral Triangle, so. I think we took like a flight from Bali, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours to South Sulawesi, and then another flight across up to West Papua. If you look on a map, it's like Australia's this way, it's like up so far remote. And we had to get like a 2-hour boat across, and then when we got there, I didn't realise, but we had to message, like we booked online, like these little huts, and then we meant to confirm with the people with their little Telstra phones or whatever they had. And then, but we didn't, so we were like stranded, and then we had to like find this guy to take us to this island, and we got there was like one room left or something. So it was like this huge ordeal, so remote, no phone, no internet, no nothing. And we ended up getting onto this other spot, bit of a secret spot. One of Alex's mates told him about it, and it was just sort of hidden away in like this creek estuary, and there's like lots of birds there, so that's how we went. And you sort of stay in these huts above the water, and we ended up being there for like a good week or so. And we met these guys who do a blog there, like, and they go live there for like 3 or 4 months a year. And we got talking to them, and then I think it was like the last night or something, we were just chatting, and they just casually mentioned, we're talking about jellyfish stuff way down in the south of Raja. And we're like, there's nothing really up here. And like, no, there's one around the corner here somewhere. Like, we went there once. And we're like, what? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's pretty shit. It's like, there's not that many. It's really green. It's dark. Like, you don't see that many. We're like, we got to check it out. We're here. The journey we went on to get, got to check it out. So we got the local guy, the host. He was taking us to the next island where we were going to go stay. So we had all our bags, everything on the boat, this little motorized canoe thing, and we're partnering like weaving through like these almost like canals and stuff, like because normally they're in lakes, but this is like in the ocean, and it's like inlets and like vertical like island inlets with like rainforest and stuff on it. And he was like zigzagging around going to this spot. And like, I want to go check it out. Meant to go there for like 10 minutes as a bit of recon. And then about halfway through, we sort of opened up in this big open area, and the water was like bubbling. And he's like shut the boat off, and he was like, jellyfish, they're here. And I'm like, oh shit, a different spot. And then I was like, oh, we didn't all want to get in. I was like, oh, I'll jump in and just have a look. And I slipped in the water. And it was like so clear.
Sorry, say that again. We had you. This has never happened before, by the way. I don't know what is happening with my audio today, but it's just not like it's just like train. Okay, we're just going to cut your audio. Just say that last bit again. You were like you can't. You were testing the water.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll jump in so no one else had to get wet because we're going to a new spot. And I slid in and it was just like insane, like what you see in that photo, but it's like hundreds of meters wide and it was really clear. And I was like, holy shit, you know? And he was like, it turns out he'd never seen him in that spot before. And I know where there was the moon phase that was going on and it was that clear. And I was just like, get in the water, you know? Like, we ended up being in there for like 3 hours or something crazy. And we reluctantly got out. And like filled up the memory card, like everything, battery's gone. We're just like, shit, you know. We went to the next island. We're at the next island. We're like, why did we leave, you know? And we're like trying to get in contact to go back. And it was a really nice island where we were, and it was amazing. We got these cool shots and stuff. And we're like, we ended up leaving early. Like, we've got to go back. And we went back for it, and then we just didn't get it again. We tried like another couple of times, and it just wasn't.
Oh wow!
Found him in a different.
It was just that moment.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and it was like literally like being in space. Eh? And there was like...
And these jellyfish, do they sting if you're swimming with them? Do you get...
Ones, but there was little ones in there that do sting. We got pumped. Because we got no wetsuits, no nothing.
Oh my God.
You know, you're like...
Yes.
You're like probably 8 hours if you had to go on a little boat or like to get to help, you know? I was just like...
Yeah, I know. And your girlfriend, she's in a little like bikini here. So I'm just... All I can imagine is just being stung everywhere. Just like not being... You're super remote.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it was sort of scary in that regard. But we asked him, I was like, are they dangerous? And he was like, no, they're good. And it's like, you're going to trust the
guy. They're fine.
We're up there, you know? So yeah, we...
Yeah. I remember we went swimming with sharks once in the islands off Belize. And we were like, oh yeah, we're just going to go swimming with sharks. Like, it's just going to be a few sharks. Like... And then we get there and they kind of burlied up the water so that all the sharks came. I thought there was literally going to be like 3 or 4 sharks. And I'm not joking. There was like hundreds of sharks. And they're like, off you go, jump in now. And I remember looking at my husband and I'm like, he's like, look, if they think it's okay, I'm sure it's going to be fine. So I'm like, all right, in we go. And, you know, they're just little reefies or whatever. But some of them are pretty big. Yeah. And you're just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. But, okay, well, yeah, they would know if they're going to eat us or not.
Yeah, that's it.
So you just jump in.
Just got to trust them, I guess. They grew up there.
I wish I took a photo of that. There was just so many sharks. It was just like sharks everywhere.
So good. I have to go there one day, hey?
Yeah, the islands off Belize, like San Pedro and Key Corker, is like really, really amazing. Like off the coast of Mexico is just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
yes.
That spot, eh? We were like, we really want to go back. Next time I go back, I'm going like 3 to 6 months going off grid, you know? Like, it was like just the most craziest spot. So we done boats and homestays there. And like, so picturesque, this place, like just tropical. It was like glass off, 50-meter viz every day, 30-degree water, most amazing coral I've ever seen. And like heaps of fish, not big life. Like we weren't really chasing that. We're just mainly there for corals, you know, because they're like trouble. Like we got to go to these places before they're gone, you know, like if they're gone 20, 30, gone. So we're going to get there and it's just like paradise and no phone reception, no nothing. You have like maybe 3 hours of power a night on a generator to charge some batteries. It was epic. No fan, just mosquito net, a mattress in like a hut over the water. It was epic.
So good. We stayed in a place in Vanuatu that was on this really tiny, it was like a eco village and it was just literally like a hut that had electricity for like 1 hour a day. And it was absolute bliss. And it was like the snorkeling out there was we just snorkeled for hours a day and it was like some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen in my life. But just that switching off and just being super remote and just like, oh, this is incredible. Like you really just like get to decompress. Switch off, you know, it's so good for you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It must be very similar, hey, I reckon, like the island stays and stuff, like just like with locals, you know, there's like 4 huts. They bring you
yeah
Yeah, so sick.
Yeah, this place was in Vanuatu. It was kind of run down, and I think the owners had just sold it. They were just about to kind of sell it just after we left, but there was like, I don't know, maybe 6 huts, and there was like just a little local man from the village that would come and he'd make your meal. You know, it was just whatever he decided to cook for you for the day. That's what you were eating and stuff. It was just amazing. Like, it was so good. And we just met travelers from all around the world. It was like, it was really like, literally like a hut and a bed and like just one of those like curtains, like the mosquito net things. And we loved it. It was so amazing. And I just couldn't believe the snorkeling. Like, I haven't done heaps of snorkeling, like, and I really enjoy it. And it was just some of the most amazing snorkeling I'd ever seen. So, and like I said, I haven't done much, so it was pretty cool.
Oh man,
It's like serenity.
Oh yeah, that's like, I would live there if I had like, I don't know, some passive income where I never had to think about it. I'd just live there. You'd never see me again, eh? Like,
That'd be it. I love that. Well, we've had you for an hour, and I really appreciate your time. Is there any last questions that anyone has for Jake before we let him go? This has been such a lovely chat, and I've loved introducing my community to your work. Obviously, you can follow Jake. There's a link that just came up in the chat that you guys can follow him on Instagram. Please do that. You're constantly posting. He's not allowed to leave, Matt said.
You can say
ask him more questions.
Afternoon's free if you want to go for another half an hour, eh?
Cool. Okay. Bill said, what's your dream critter to photograph?
Oh, I've got so many, eh? I really, probably, oh God, it's tough. In the water, I want to swim with an orca, like, solo, be in the water with it. Because I've been close to them, obviously, a few times. But from the boat, and a few years back, or last year, or year before, there was, like, bear riding the boat, and there was one at the back, and we had this big marlin board, and I literally, like, bear hugged it and flopped into the water. I was like face to face with this thing, like best moment of my life. And like from there, like,
wow.
But yeah, blue whale, sperm whale, or great white. I really want to free dive with great white and orcas. I suppose all like the best animals.
All the big ones, just enormous animals.
Yeah, but blue whale would be
all the what?
Or anything.
Did you? I don't know if you saw. Sorry, I just
get like, yeah, look at it, you know. But yeah, those things are like the top, like, man, a white shark.
Did you hear the story that was on 60 Minutes like last week or the week before about the guy that got swallowed by a whale?
Yeah, oh, the dream, man. Yeah, but you couldn't get like, they can't swallow them because their throat's too small, you know. But it just went in his like mouth. They got spat.
Just in his mouth, yeah. I didn't hear the actual full story, but apparently, yeah, he was inside and then he got spat out or something.
I think he would have been in like probably a bait ball or something like that, because they feed on fish, and obviously, so when they come through, their mouth opens like big thing, and he's just been like caught and got like half swallowed. And then spat out again.
Yeah, he said that he remembers. The bit that I saw was like he remembered that like all the muscles were like around him. So I don't know how far he was in, and I don't know how he got out because I didn't hear it. But I really wanted to hear the story. I was just like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
He would have spat. We gave.
I reckon.
They'd be like, oh geez, what's that?
That's a giant, like you're just choking on something. It's like, get out. Matt said the pygmy blue whales in Sri Lanka would be epic to photograph. Yeah. I don't know what they look like, but I'll take Matt's word for it. Matt's an awesome wildlife photographer as well, so I'll take your word for it, Matt.
My dream. I really want to get over there and do it. I mean, COVID's sort of ruined everything, but I've heard that it's like some of the places they like shouldn't go because they're like harassing them and stuff like that. But obviously there'll be places where they're very low key and relaxed and they're not chasing them around.
Yeah.
I've heard some bad stories, and then I've also heard good ones. So if I could find the right one, I'd be there for 3-4 months waiting for the one moment, you know. It's like the biggest biggest animal that's ever lived. Well, they're pygmies, so like the second, but man, it'd be so good.
That's the dream. So good. Glows asked, for someone who's in the ocean all the time, do you have any conservation organisations that you support or recommend? That's a great question.
I support anyone. I mean, it's hard. I've always been a very big skeptic of a lot of if there's any sort of for profit in it, I don't support it. You know, I just do my research on things. I got a lot of brands and stuff, clothing brands that these days would be like, we support this and that. And then if you read the fine print, only like 5-10% that goes through it. But one of the big ones on Ningaloo is Protect Ningaloo. That's a conservation group here, and they're literally they're at the forefront of protecting this area. So it's probably mainly them guys. And then, people like Maddie Stewart, like Shakil Madison, she's doing like a lot of good work over in like Indonesia and stuff. And like, I mean, there's heaps there. I don't really have anything specific. It's hard for me to sort of do it. It was so remote, so I never really get to meet them and do it. But probably the main one here is Protect Ningaloo, definitely. They're just at the moment trying to push for a World Heritage listing in the Exmouth Gulf. So if you think of like Western Australia, I'm trying backwards here, but you got like Ningaloo and there's like a peninsula that sort of comes off like this. And the Ningaloo is on the outside edge, but the Exmouth Gulf's like a huge bay, like Shark Bay. And it's like basically the nursery for Ningaloo. And it's not protected. So they like trying to industrialise it. So every year they're pushing it. It gets like blocked because there's petitions and stuff. It's like this constant battle. They want to run pipelines and dredge it and stuff. And it's one of the biggest like humpback whale nurseries in the world, and like the only known place, I think, for like the sawfish, the shark things with the stuff like that, like sea snake, diverse, like all these animal species. Basically, like if that disappears, Ningaloo disappears. And I think it's a bit of the commercial side of things. I don't know why they didn't include it in the World Heritage and Marine Park area to begin with, but I can only imagine it's because there's someone in the politicians in the pocket of the big corporations and stuff. But the Protect Ningaloo is like really pushing hard now to try and get that protected as well. So that's probably the main support at the moment, But
awesome.
Yeah, anything, I suppose. Any bit helps, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Benny's got a great question. It says, what was it like swimming with whales, and where would you recommend the best experiences to learn about these guys and swim with them?
Humpback whale. Like actual whales.
He just said whales. Let's say humpback. Let's just narrow it down.
In Australia, like on the east and west coast over here, but it's like it's more they'll swim by because they're migrating, and it's still like insane, but without the world's best place to go is like in the South Pacific, like Tonga and Niue and stuff. Like, so you're in like 100-meter visibility, like the bluest water, and the whales are resting with their calves, and they're so, from what I've been told, like the operators are really protective of the whales, so they'll watch them for hours before they pick the right ones you can interact with, time limits and stuff like that. Humpbacks and that definitely go like I think like French Polynesia does it as well, like those South Pacific, because you've got resting whales, clear water, mind blown. Here you get like a 10-second window, over there you get like an hour of like
so good. Yeah, Britt said that's one of her bucket list things is to go to swim with the whales in Tonga, so that would be pretty amazing. Matt Hickey said, have you seen much of the work of the behind the mask guys on YouTube?
Oh yeah, I watched a few. Hey, I don't watch too much TV, so I fall behind and all that sort of stuff, Like, yeah, so I watch docos and stuff, but yeah, I've seen a few that's really cool. Hey, I think I met one of the guys that worked, one of the producers, or was it? I think it was Behind the Mask, or some of the guys that did one of those things. I met one
of those docos.
Yeah.
Do you do much video stuff, or is it you pretty much just do stills?
Not really. I've been sort of doing more recently, but more like developing skill, like to try and do it, because I like a lot of the things are going video now. But I suppose everyone's going into video, so there'll be no photographers left. Maybe it sort of works. Maybe sit tight. But yeah, videos.
I'll be staying with photos. I don't like videos, so.
I think at least with a photo, you can enjoy the moment. You just got to capture one thing. With a video.
Yeah.
Literally doing the whole shot. You're watching everything through the lens, And I feel like, for me, I've always done this job because I love being in the water with the animals and stuff, and enjoying that. But so with photography, you can get away with capturing the moment but still being there, if you know what I mean, as long as you pick the right moment.
Yeah.
Whereas video, you got to be constantly thinking and doing this sort of stuff.
And then you have to edit it for like so many hours as well. Like, who wants to do that?
Unless you're like up the top, they've got editors for that sort of stuff,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like I've thought about it more, but on the fence at the moment. Obviously, there's a good avenue there, especially now, Lord, like with social media, it's like a lot more video. I think Instagram now is going more like video based. They want to be like TikTok and stuff like that. So it's definitely an avenue. Yeah, but for me personally, like I want to learn the skill and definitely like learn that, but especially for clients and that sort of stuff. But it's not something that I'm more enthusiastic about than photos.
There's something about the impact of the stills as well, I think, specifically for this work that is just, I don't know, just it's really beautiful. I think even more than other styles of photography as well. It's just, maybe it's because it's just a world that a lot of us don't ever get to see. So just having these beautiful stills is just, it's
Yeah,
really gorgeous.
the video you got to like nail the shot and then put it in the right scene, I guess, and context of the story. Then like you got to have the audio, the audio music can ruin the video or the narrating.
Yeah, totally.
An image is an image, like no matter, it's gonna hit that message that you want to tell, So I think, I think it's still probably more impactful because the video is an overall production, whereas image is just, you can have one image and anyone can see it, any context, and then boom, it hits them,
Absolutely. I love that. Hey Blake, nice to see you here. I just said I'm travelling to the east coast of Australia next year. Any personal favourite places you'd recommend to capture marine life? Maybe come and visit you, Ningaloo.
Yeah. Well, Ningaloo's on the west, but if you go...
Oh, it is too, sorry. You did say east coast.
Yeah, so definitely where I grew up, Fish Rock Cave, like that's Southwest Rocks is the town. There's an island off the coast called Fish Rock. There's a cave through it. That's
okay.
Insane, yeah. If you're going through, I think it's best like, probably March, so like Easter, March, April, May. April, May is like probably a sweet spot, and then best weather and stuff. And then like Byron Bay is really good, like same sort of time. So Fish Rock, you get like all like grey nose sharks in the cave and turtles and rays and big life. And then Byron's really good, Julian Rocks, because in that time, like that March, April, May, you get a lot of leopard sharks. And it's insane, one of the best places in the world for leopard sharks.
Were you originally northern New South Wales? Is that what you said originally before you moved?
Yeah, it's Southwest Rocks, yeah, North Coast, yeah. So I done a lot of diving over there, and they're the two, New South Wales, they're the two picks, like Fish Rock and Julian Rock. And you're that same time, and then you don't want to go like Julian Rocks in like winter or anything, because like you just get a few grey nurse and you can just get that better at Southwest Rocks. So you do that there, and then same with the leopard sharks. You get mantas at Julian Rocks as well. It's epic. And then if you go further up, it's like the SS Yongala and like Tanner feels insane. Wolf Rock is like, which is the Sunshine Coast. That's like wild, like proper. That's epic.
Yes. Yeah, good. There you go, Blake. There's some tips for you. I think Benny missed the start of the stream, so he didn't hear that that's where you were from originally before you moved. So yeah, that's awesome. There's some tips for you too, Benny, if you want to head down there. I can see, Benny, I can totally see you picking this up. I could see you starting to do a bit of underwater stuff. This could be your next little venture, maybe. It's all on the list, he said. That's awesome. Well, it's been so amazing to chat to you. I really appreciate it. And it's, like I said, really great to introduce my community to you and all your amazing work. And it's just been really good for everybody to get to know you a little bit better, which has been really fun. So thank you again.
No worries.
Super appreciate it.
Anytime. Usually free.
No. Benny's saying he's got one last question. No worries, Benny. We're not in a rush. Recommended underwater housing. That's a good question.
Well, I used to say sort of any. I just got like this Aquatica housing. Depends on your budget, obviously, but I just got the Aquatica housing, and honestly, it's like, I feel like Batman or something, Bruce Wayne, it's like, just like engineered to perfection, hey? Like, I think, Aquatica is like my favorite. I used Aquatech for the first few years, like a surf housing, but it's very limited it's a depth as well, so it limits you to about 10 meters or something. So I think a lot of the cheaper option, people go like Light, I think, if it's the cheaper option, but if you got the budget, honestly, like this Aquatica housing is unbelievable. It's so good. Just like sits in your hand like you haven't got a camera in your hand, Yeah.
And that was because you were waiting for that for a little while, weren't you, for the Z7? Like they had to make it or something?
Yeah, because it was the new model camera, they had to do it because they have to make every housing specific to the camera. And it was a slightly different thing to the original Z6. So they had to make, there was none made, there was none in Australia. And then I was fortunate, I got in contact with the owner of Aquatica because my friend Alex had dealt with him before and done stuff, and he was keen to work together with us because we were both getting the Z, so it worked out pretty good. So he made us them and got it to us as quick as possible. But yeah, it was a long wait. It was wild. I think but I got it, and then it was like, yeah, I'll never go back. And because you can dive with it, do everything, like, I'll definitely never go back. Yeah.
That's so good. And the other thing I really like talking to you and Charles about too was just like how much you're loving the mirrorless cameras and it really suits what you're doing as well. Not that this is necessarily an ad for Nikon. It's not a Nikon webinar, but we were just like at the time just like it was really cool just to bond about how much we were all loving the mirrorless for our different styles of photography as well. It really, really suits us all, which is so interesting.
It's so good, ain't it? I've got to like catch myself. Like you put it on someone shutter, I don't realise how many photos you're taking. That's probably the only.
Yeah.
Like God, I have to be so conscious of it because all of a sudden you've taken like 10 frames a second without even thinking. So I change it a lot more now with my photos. So if I'm just shooting like mantrays or something, I'll have it like on 3 or 4 frames or something. But if I'm doing like split shots, like under overs, I put it up because it's that split second to get it.
Yeah, because it's like in the waves or whatever.
Yeah, whereas previously, like you could feel it go. Boom. The hardest thing for me so far is the feeling, seeing if it's in focus, because you just like you don't know, like the old SLRs, you feel it or you see it, and it's like But I haven't really had too many issues underwater at all, like with any focusing or anything. But
that was one thing that someone noticed before, just how crisp your images are. So I definitely don't think that. I mean, definitely what you're posting, it looks really phenomenal. So it's really cool.
Shots like this blows my mind. So like I'm pulling out shots now, whereas before you'd get them and you got them good, but then like the Z is just doing it better than that. It's like it's unbelievable. So when you nail a shot, it's just like you can zoom right in on stuff. It's like it was like 40.
Yeah, it's so good. It really obviously we're Zen creators, so it's like it sounds like it's an ad, but I just remember all of us just going just how much it really suited the style of photography we're doing, and we've all been really happy with the performance and stuff, which is really cool. It's like it's good to see that. It felt very natural that we're all saying that as well, regardless of if we're at a webinar or whatever. It's just like, no, we actually really love using these cameras. They're awesome.
Yeah, well, I haven't used it too much like on land, like because we have a bit of stuff here, but it's a bit more difficult. But underwater, like I'm blown away. Hey, so glad I went.
Yeah.
I think like any mirrorless stuff, then that's the way of the future.
Yes.
Like, everything's transitioned to mirrorless, so it's a good time to sort of pick up if you can pick up if you want to stick full frame cameras, like so underwater definitely need full frame, I think, just for the image quality and the low light. But it's going to be a time now, next couple of years, if you don't want to invest so much in mirrorless, like just pick up good condition secondhand full frames, and the lenses are going to get cheaper, the cameras are going to get cheaper because the mirrorless is like overtaken. So it's a good
absolutely. So many new lenses are coming out as well. Like like you said, it's just going to continue to get better. Gypsy J was just asking you about the fisheye. Do you have the 14 to 24? Is that the one that you have?
No, I got the 8 to 15. I got a FTZ adapter, so it's an F-mount lens.
Yeah.
There's an adapter because they haven't released a fisheye. I did ask them about it, and they said that's confidential. So I was like, because I was like, because I was like, you're just going to release one soon? Because I'll just wait.
That's so funny. I always have people DMing me about stuff like that. They're like, we thought you'd have the inside word. I'm like, I literally find out about something the day that it's announced. That's when I found out. I don't have any inside word.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the 8-15. I used to use the Sigma 15mm. That's an incredible lens. Now I'm shooting like with Nikon, and 8-15's like amazing, like insane as well. But there's a couple there, but yeah, I think I love it. I'll never go back now. Like, it's insane. But it's just I think it's like it's 3.5 or 4.5, I think. So you're shooting at 4.5, whereas the Sigma, I think you go 2.8. So
yeah. It'd be great when they bring that out finally. I think it'd be awesome. It's really good to see all of the different lenses coming out now. I'm just about to sell my entire like DSLR kit and all of my primes and just go fully mirrorless. So I'm just going to get around to actually like taking photos and posting that, like all of that stuff. I just can't be bothered, but yeah, I've got to do that. It's I think it's time.
I've just sold everything. I've got like a couple of lenses left, and that's it. Yeah, I sold all my underwater stuff, housings, everything. It's just like, I gotta get rid of it,
To get rid of it. Yeah, definitely that's the next thing on the list to do that. It's just like it's time, and I'm fully committed to mirrorless now, so I'm just going to get a few new lenses and I'll be there, which will be awesome.
Yeah, it's just a hard. I think for most people now, we're being very fortunate with the Z Creator thing. You know, like the mirrorless stuff is expensive, so like most people don't really have the budget or can't really justify spending that money on the gear. So like, there's nothing wrong if you can pick up the D810s now, which is insane camera. That's all I use. So most of my photos on my Instagram stuff all on D810. So the last few, when you get those super crisp ones, the last few, you can see it in the captions if it's a Z camera, but the rest are all on the D810. So they're insane camera. You get them $1,000, $1,200 for the body, like.
Really great cameras.
But underwater, you know, they're insane, so reliable. And it's just like, if the people look and you want to like take them more seriously, just like look for like a D810 or like a 5D Mark IV or something like that. I think it can. My mate used them, but mainly. Yeah, the D810 is good, but you can get it cheap now, for sure.
Everything, yeah. And the thing that I always say is like, get the second-hand stuff of the people that are either bought stuff really new and now they're selling. Because that's what I do is like, I always find the person that bought everything 6 months ago and then they decided they didn't want it. It's like, most of my gear is that.
But all my lenses are all second-hand, apart from...
Yeah, nearly all of mine are too.
Yeah, it's like, because you just get them cheaper. And like lenses, you can see they're in good condition. And they last like 10 years, 15 years, or forever, you know. It's still like people using old school manual focus lenses. And it's a bit of a thing now.
It's so funny. You know how there's like, people are just really nervous about that? Like, it's like, I don't know why. First of all, maybe I just have a lot of trust, but I've never had any issues. I've pretty much bought my entire kit, other than the Z stuff, obviously, because I'm a Z creator. So we get sort of certain stuff. But like, all of my DSLR stuff, I always bought secondhand. And like, you can tell when it's like, you know, someone's, I don't know, I feel like I can tell where this, you know, it's a decent quality and it hasn't been banged around. And I don't know, just have never had any issues with that. But some people are like, no way, you don't know where it's been, the warranty. And I'm just like, what? Nah, I don't care. Like, it just doesn't bother me.
Yeah, well, that's where you win if you let them people do that and then buy it off them in 6 months, you know.
Buy it off, exactly.
Like,
yes.
Like, you just like check it. Obviously, look at the shutter count, and then people put photos. And you check it out and that sort of stuff. Like, if you live in the city, I struggle because I live so remote. I have to get things posted, so I'm like relying on images or trusting these people. And it could go side.
Yes.
But if you live in the city, just like take that.
Yeah, you just go
look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just go look at it or whatever. Like, I just got literally a whole new studio kit of like 5 Bowen lights, all of these modifiers, and from this guy who literally had more lights than I've ever had. And he's been shooting for like 6 months, and he's like, oh yeah, I just don't really use them. I'm like, all right. I was just like, all of that. It was like unbelievable. It's like, yeah, I just never got really around to. I'm like, you've got 5 lights, dude. I've been doing this for 10 years and I've got 2 that have just like died on me. So yeah, it's just really funny. So I think sometimes good to just check out like the secondhand gear, and I'm a big supporter of it.
Yeah, definitely. And then that's how I sort of went. Then, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty much the way to do it, I reckon. It's like a car, you know. Buy new cars, like, just get a second-hand one. Then you know what model's good, if it's going to break and stuff. Like, if you just go out and buy a new one, it could be the dud model, you know, in like 5 years' time.
Yeah, totally. Glow saying it only takes to get burned once, and that way to never go it again. I'll buy from authorized resellers or third. See, I don't even think if I got burned, it would put me off. I just.
Well, I mean, you get it.
I don't know. I always got secondhand everything. I just haven't had any issues.
My D500, my first camera, I shouldn't say, but I bought that grey market, you know, like a CCC warehouse, whatever it was. And it was
$500,
$600 cheaper than anywhere in Australia. And then, but nothing went wrong with it, thank God. But if it does,
yeah.
So you just buy direct from China, you don't get the Australian consumer warranty.
Yes, I have done that before in the past as well. So I know a lot of people are against that as well. But you know, when you're starting out and you're looking to get stuff cheaper, like just there's different options. But like I'm a big fan of telling people to get secondhand stuff, because like literally people will buy, like they've just had it for 6 months, it's brand new, you can tell, like there's no wear in the grip or anything. You just like, this dude's taken 3 shots ever. And
you know, if unsure, maybe go buy the bodies new if you're worried, because they're probably the thing you want to look at, like get the best condition of. But then lenses,
Yeah,
I don't really do
yeah.
much with lenses. You just make sure they've got no fungus,
Yes.
scratches, and it's like the
That's
lip.
what Jay said. Jay said I always buy secondhand lenses and I get new bodies, which is probably actually a really good tip. I've bought both, nearly everything secondhand. But yeah, I think that's a great tip. Gypsy J said I bought my Z mount 85mm for $300 cheaper from someone who changed their mind. I think that's, yeah, it's great. A bit of a business question. By buying it secondhand, can you still claim it on tax? Yeah, I believe it's still a business expense if you can get an invoice for it. My understanding is there's no issue with that.
Yeah.
Might just, obviously it's cheaper. It's a slightly lower tax write-off.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll find out this year. This is the first real year I've had to do a lot of gear stuff, so we'll find out.
I'm pretty sure you can. I don't know. I always just chuck it in there and get my accountant to do it. So if he puts it in, he puts it in.
Nah,
Just get a good accountant.
Yeah, definitely can. For sure.
Yeah.
The receipt and everything and that sort of stuff, I think.
Yeah, like a Gypsy Day, just have them invoice you, yeah.
Yeah,
which they can, usually pretty easily. It's not a problem, so...
I just make
anyway,
like Canva's unbelievable.
Yes.
Invoice up.
Yeah, that's so true. Anyway, we've taken up so much of your time. I'm very conscious of, you've been so great with us, and it's been really lovely to chat to you. So we'll let you go and have a good evening and relax now because you did just get off work. So go chill for a bit, guys. I'll hang around for 5 minutes if you want to hang for a little bit longer. We'll talk about the challenge this week, but we'll say goodbye to Jake now. Thanks so much, Jake. I super appreciate it. And make sure everybody you go follow Jake on Instagram, and I'll send you the link to this interview as well.
Oh, epic! Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cool. No worries. Talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, it was fun. He's such a legend. So good. That was really fun. I think I've got to resize. I did this the other day. I did a recording yesterday. I had to pre-record. I'm going to teach in a school. I was supposed to go tomorrow morning. I was supposed to go to a school and teach some kids about photography. And now we're in a lockdown again.